All right, good morning. Good morning to all on earth. Good morning. Good morning. Come with me on a ride as I go home. We are on, I think they used to say we're on like spaceship Earth because, they came to understand that Earth is circling the sun, going around the sun. So they're like, oh, we're traveling through outer space on Earth, on this Earth. But we have a different focus. We're actually going. We're going home. We're going to Jesus. He says we're sojourners here. We're just passing through. We're actually going home to heaven, to Jesus, to where God dwells. We're gonna dwell with Him, and He dwells here, and we get to dwell with Him even as we dwell here, and we get to come closer to Him as we get to know Him, as we get to do what He tells us to do, as we get to do what He does and become like Him, as He rewards us with His likeness, as He changes us away from where we've fallen to, from our dead selves and our old selves. We get to shed it, molt it like old skin, and we get to come into new beings, a new freshness, grateful like a butterfly. And so with that, new possibilities, things you thought were impossible, new possibilities, because some things are impossible because of who you are. I'm just human, I'm just me, I live here, and that changes. Oh, but now you live in heaven. Now you're seated in heaven. Now you have the mind of Christ. Now you're a new identity. So what can I do now that I have a crown? What can I do now that I have wings? What can I do now that I have a mind? What can I do? You're new possibilities. Every day is new. Every day, what can happen? What will happen? We live exciting lives. We get to anticipate. We get to hope. What's it today? Who am I today? God has made me new today. Away from the old, away from yesterday. Yesterday was full of impossibilities. Today, new possibilities. And one of those things is to strive to be perfect, to have a high standard that we love. God says in Deuteronomy, I think He mentions cursings that will come upon us because we did not serve Him with joyfulness, with gladness. We can't just serve, but He says your attitude, how you serve, your face, how your face is when you serve. No, that's important too. I count that as important. I'm going to look at that too. And so we might say, oh, that's too hard, that's too much. And that's where our attitude comes from. Yet He puts it in the Bible. Look at Gideon and his men. They were faint yet pursuing. And so it's supposed to motivate us, and because we're supposed to acknowledge and realize, hey, that's us. The men of God, that's us. That's an example of us. God fills the Bible with examples, and we're not supposed to be afraid of being one too. I remember when I was in elementary school, everyone in elementary school is young, they're children, and yet the teachers would mark the highest grade level. I think at that time for us, maybe it was 5th grade. Yes, the 5th graders, they were the big boys. They were taller, they were bigger, they looked different. To us now as adults, they're little kids. But if you're a 1st grader or a 2nd grader, and you look at the 5th grader, they're like, wow, they're far, they've grown. When will I ever be a 5th grader? And the teachers would get on them saying, hey, you guys are 5th graders. Hey, you guys are supposed to be an example. And I was shocked when I heard that, because I thought, oh man, I don't want to be a 5th grader. That's a burden. That I don't want to be having to carry that, to be an example. Oh man, that means you can't do certain things. That means you have to act in this specific way, and you have to be perfect. That's too much. I want to stay a second grader. I want to stay a third grader where I don't have to be an example. And that carries on to when we're adults. We still don't want to be examples because we understand what that means. No, don't do what I do. Hey, don't look at me. Don't expect so much of me. We want the freedom, so-called freedom, to miss the mark, to be below standard, substandard, to not be the example, because who wants to be that? That's why the celebrities, they may wear disguises, wear sunglasses. Don't look at me. Hey, don't look at me all the time. Give me some privacy. Don't always look at me. And I was also surprised when I found out that, hey, that's part of the law. I think they have that in the law where you kind of lose some rights as a celebrity or a well-known person. I think that's what I heard in the law, that there's some provision for, if you are that famous, if you are that important or big, well-known, then laws are kind of different for you. Forget what it was. Maybe about how people are able to talk about you. That might have been it. You kind of lose some rights to privacy, or that kind of shielding. Now that you're a public figure, there's some separate laws for you. And I thought that was very intriguing, especially now as we take on, as Christians, we take on without fear that calling. Even in the world, they have philosophers that just came up, they base their, or they're known for the main tenet of their philosophy to be, oh yeah, just do. How do you know if things are good or bad? And just from their secular perspective, that he was able to say, well, if it's replicable, if you think everyone can do what you can do, and you think that's right, then that's right. And I didn't like that. I thought, oh man, that's so high. That's so, how could I live according to that? And yet even they acknowledge that that's one of their angles, that's one of their approaches to discerning, okay, how can we tell in this life what's good to do, what's bad, how do we judge things? And that's one of the things that they came up with. Or maybe God gave them that little dose, that little measure of truth, that, yeah, if you're okay with others doing it, if you think everyone in the world can do what you do, and the world will be good because of that, then that's good. And so it seems so simple, right? Like obvious, like, yeah. That would be hypocrisy to think, oh no, I can do it. But if everyone does it, that would make the world the worst place. But it's okay for me. So that makes us kind of laugh, or that makes us kind of scoff at that. Like, hey, no, you can't think that way. You can't act that way. If more people, if other people did what you did, and that make things worse, like littering, for example, because I'm driving, people would clearly acknowledge that'd be hard to say, oh yeah, I can throw out some trash out my window, and we reason away the righteousness. We confuse ourselves. Oh, it's just one piece of trash. It's just one. Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm just... And yet, if you were to ask them, then they can't avoid the truth. If you were to ask them, what if everyone did that? Then they would acknowledge, yeah, no, everyone shouldn't do that. So why are you doing it? I wish you didn't ask me that. So it puts us in a situation, just conflict of my own justification for what I do and what's actually true, what I actually think and believe, and how we just turn a blind eye to our own selves, and we let ourselves do things that might not be the right thing to do, but we have words and language and a brain, and we use it all wrong. And so God holds us to the right standard. He says, no, be an example. You are an example. I set you as an example. And if you can't be, that's below standard. And so that could put us in fear. Hey, that's scary. That's too much. Hey, don't look at me. Don't expect that of me. There's celebrities that said that. Hey, I'm not a role model. Don't expect that of me. I don't want that on me. I don't want that on me. I want the fame and the money without that. And people are upset. You can't have all the cameras on you. You can't have us pay you all that money and then you not take that with it. That's part of the package. Christians are above the celebrities. We're above everyone, everything. We're the closest to God. We're supposed to be representatives of God. So much more us, even though there's no cameras on us, there is a watching of us. There is, people see you. People look at you a different way. People expect. That's why they even say. That's one of the ways they even mock. Oh, and you call yourself a Christian. There's some basis to that. They're holding you up to something rightfully so. They have a longing, a desire. If you can fulfill that, if you can be someone that they are not able to say that to, oh, and you call yourself a Christian. And so Daniel is an example. Daniel, they tried to accuse him and they could not. And they set up a trap for him and he prevailed because he succeeded. He met all the marks that God set for man. Be perfect, follow my law, love me, respect me, put me as first priority above all. And Daniel lived like that. And so God justified Daniel, preventing him from being destroyed by anything, by any trap, by any enemy. He prepared a table before his enemies for him, so Daniel could sup and dine with God, and people had to see him. Behold, oh, he lives with God. He eats at God's table. He's in fellowship with God. God's on his side. God covers him. And so people bowed down to him. Everyone that's against Daniel, they died. And the king acknowledged Daniel's God, saying, it's this God. This is the God. God is real. And that's an example for us to live like that, as an example, as someone, as a reference for people who don't know any other way, who don't know from their left hand from the right, who don't know what's good and bad, what's right and wrong, that they have to come up with manifestos and documentaries to try to figure it out, to try and to just work with pieces of it. And you're the wholeness of it because you know God, the lawgiver, you know God, the source of the universe, the source of creation, who still exists, who's still talking, who still has standards, who still has us on the move, who still has us shifting, knowing what's the law for today, what's right, what's the exception to the law here in this case. We know the case by case scenario because we walk with God. And so we're supposed to be that reference, that demonstration, that star in the sky that people see, that they get direction from. Oh, so if that's there, then I ought to go here. If they see you, then they ought to know what they ought to do, because they should know because of your uprightness, your integrity. Oh, I should be doing that too. I should be going to church too. I should be refraining too. I should be saying this and not that too. So that was impressed upon me even more as I'm listening to the book of Mark. You know, the audio Bible, it's going to say Matthew 1, and it reads the chapter and it's going to say Matthew 2. And I was listening to Mark and I heard it like that this week, Mark. And it came into my mind as, hey, mark well, mark this person, mark what I say, Mark 2. And it's going to read it out and it's going to say Mark, and it's going to catch my attention. Oh, an example, the example, Mark 3, like mark this. Hey, keep marking it. Mark 4. It's going to read the chapter. Mark 5. And it kept hitting me like that. Mark this. This is a mark. You are a mark. And you ought to be, so that people can mark you as a perfect man. That's in the Bible. That's in the Bible. It tells us to mark the perfect man. So we're supposed to do that, and we're supposed to also be that. Someone that people can mark, watch, and receive hope from. There is hope. There are people that are righteous, that are loving, whose love is not waxing cold, but they're becoming brighter, shining brighter. And that's only possible with God and submission to God and living perfect before Him, humble before Him, so that even your faults, even when you fall, even when you make mistakes, He'll lift you up, brush you off, teach you how to overcome, how to be better, and actually make you better every day. It's God that makes you perfect. So we don't have to pretend to be perfect. We can be perfect with God, walking with God, loving God, being in step with Him, in tune with Him, knowing His thoughts, knowing His mind, knowing what He desires, and doing it every day in Jesus' name.